Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our 2020 Ho-onko Service here at Higashi Honganji. As I say every time I'm up here, we wish all of you were here with us, but under the circumstances, I think everyone understands that streaming virtually is the safest and the best thing to do at this time. And so we appreciate everybody's understanding, cooperation, and support of our virtual services. Looks like we'll have to continue with this a little bit longer, and so we appreciate everybody's patience. But anyways, we're happy that all of you are here today for our Ho-onko service that we're streaming. And so, as all of you know, the Ho-onko is probably the most important service of our calendar, and it's the memorial service for our founder, Shinran Shonin. And I think it's the most important service on our calendar. So, so hopefully all of you are staying safe, and all of you are healthy, and so please continue to support the temple any way you can. So anyways, we are going to start with the chanting of Shoshing, and then it's a special chanting for Ho-onko, and you'll notice that that it's something that we just do once a year, and I think the link to the special part is on the Facebook page, and I think Mika sent it out to some people. So please participate if you can. But we're going to start with the Suture Chanting now.
Shaka Amen.
Thank you. The Ho-onko chanting is, when I say my favorite, it sounds kind of unusual maybe, but it's just so special. So hopefully all of you are able to participate. And I think, as all of you know, this pandemic has really changed all of our lives. And so one of the things that it's obviously affected is the ability for our overseas the Honzan to come visit. And so, we're obviously saddened that we're not able to have them participate, but we did have them send video messages. And so now we are going to have 3 video messages, one from the former Abbot Chōken Ōtani, and then you'll hear from the new Abbot Chōyū Ōtani, who most of you know, and then you'll hear a message from the overseas district Abbot Yu Ōtani, who also most of you know. So here are their video messages.
Hello, this is Chōyū Ōtani from Kyoto. Since July of this year, I have assumed the responsibility to serve as 26th Abbot of the Shinshu Ōtani-ha. I wish to thank all of you, the members of our Sangha across the world, for entrusting me with such an important role. This year, all of us have found ourselves in uncharted territory due to the novel coronavirus pandemic. In the midst of this uncertainty, our overseas Sangha members have made effort to conduct the Ho-onko Service at your temples. I express my deepest appreciation for all of your efforts in observing this most important event. The teaching of Jodo Shinshu, clarified by Shinran Shonin, has always reminded us of the truth of the equality of all people regardless of nationality, gender, age, and so forth. All living beings are equal. No one can be saved alone. No one can be saved unless all others are saved. This is the spirit of the teaching we are encouraged to awaken to, so that we can truly live together in harmony. If we continue to do our best to share this teaching with people, especially with children, I believe it will eventually help to bring about the realization of a society where people can live together with mutual respect. Since I grew up in Buddhist temple in a rural city called Açaí in Brazil, I have realized the importance of sharing the teaching through my own experience at Dharma school, as well as through my interaction with our members of the Nanbei Honganji Brazil Betsuin. It's my understanding that the purpose of the Dobokai movement, which has been central to the Shinshu Ōtani educational activities, is to spread the teaching of equality to everyone throughout the world. As the newly installed abbot, I have taken this opportunity to renew my commitment to spreading the teaching of Namu Amida Butsu beyond the boundaries of language and culture. It was very unfortunate that we had to cancel the 13th World Dobo Gathering in Kyoto, scheduled for April this year because of the COVID-19. I greatly miss all of you in our overseas districts. I can never forget the tremendous support you extended to me during my tenure as overseas district abbot. As we are ushered into the era of the new normal, where we will have to coexist with the novel coronavirus, it is crucial for us to be open to incorporating new technologies in our propagation activities whenever necessary. At the same time, I am sincerely looking forward to welcoming all of you here at the Shinshu Honbyo when the pandemic has settled down. Thank you. 私はこの度、全国の門徒同房の皆様の信託をいただき、信州大谷派第26代門主の座を継承させていただきました大谷長友と申します。コロナ禍という先の見通せない状況下にあって、各海峡区ではさまざまな工夫をしながら法音校をお務めいただいていることに感謝いたします。親鸞上人が開かれた浄土真宗は、国や人種、性別、年齢などに関わりなく、差別のない平等の世界を説いている教えです。生きとし生けるもの平等で、私一人では助からない。みんなが助からないと私も救われないという、主情と共に生きる世界を丁寧に伝える。そして子どもたちにそれを大事に伝えていけば、将来目が開いてお互いを尊ぶ社会になっていくのではないかと思っています。これは私自身がブラジルのアサイという田舎町にあるお寺で過ごし、そのお寺の日曜学校やまたブラジル別院での交流を通して実感していることであります。そして信州大谷派が大事にしている同朋会運動とは、 世界の誰にでも開かれた平等の教えを世界に伝えていく運動だといただいています。この度、門主に就任いたし、改めて言葉や文化の違いを超えて、南無阿弥陀仏の見教えが伝わるよう力を尽くしていきたいと思うことです。今般のコロナ禍により、本年4月に予定していた日本での世界同朋大会も中止となってしまいました。開教司教時代にお世話になった皆様方のお顔を懐かしく思い起こしている今日この頃です。ウィズコロナの時代になっていく中で、新しいテクノロジーにも柔軟に対応していく心構えを大切にしつつ、社会が落ち着きを取り戻した折には、ここ信州本廟で皆様とお会いできる日を楽しみにしています。
Thank you very much for your attendance at the Ho-onko Service today. My name is Yu Ōtani. I have assumed the position of Overseas District Abbot as of July 1st of this year. The plan for me was to visit you in your district to join the service today. However, because of the novel coronavirus pandemic, all travels to the overseas districts this year had to be cancelled. I truly miss the opportunity to see you all again. In this critical time, it has become even more important for me to contemplate what kind of contributions I can make as Overseas District Abbot. On the occasion of the COVID-19 pandemic, all of us around the world have been forced to adopt new ways of living in order to coexist with the virus. Such drastic changes have been the source of deep anxieties for many of us. In such times, it is only natural to feel like we are losing our foothold in our lives. Even though a growing number of people identify themselves as non-religious in today's world, the problems and anxieties we fundamentally have as human beings have not changed at all. What that means is that those existential questions still require some form of religious response. From now on, I think we need to utilize new technologies such as online video conferencing, not only for exchanging information, but also for giving support to people who are suffering, through such things as rituals, personal consultations, and other types of support we can offer. I look forward to deepening my relationship with our fellow followers in the overseas districts through active dialogue and devote myself to the propagation efforts in the future, while at the same time reflecting deeply upon myself. In addition to my new role as Overseas District Abbot, I have also assumed the role as successor to the Abbot, Shinmon, on the occasion of my father's appointment as Abbot. I am overwhelmed with anxiety regarding my new responsibilities since I lack experience, and I know that I have a lot to learn. But I am determined to carry out my responsibilities by dedicating myself to continue to listen to and learn from the teachings. I will direct my wholehearted efforts to assist the Abbot in sharing the teaching of Shinran Shonin, which can provide a true spiritual foothold for people throughout the world, thereby contributing to the realization of a true Dobo society. To all of you, I ask for your continued support. Thank you very much.本日はHo-onkoへのご参集、誠にご苦労様です。7月1日をもって信州大谷派の開教司教に就任した大谷優と申します。世界的な 新型コロナウイルス感染症の拡大により、開教司教として予定しておりました各開教区法音校への出向は、本年は見合わせる形とさせていただきました。大変残念に思っております。このような中で、開教司教として今後どのような役割が果たせるのか、よく考えていかなければならないと感じております。この度のコロナ禍は、それぞれの国を越えて、世界中で新しい習慣、あり方を取り入れていかなければならないことになりました。それら多くの変化に対する不安が起こるとき、どこに心の拠り所を置くのかという悩みが出てくるのでしょう。宗教離れと言われる状況の中にあっても、人間の根本的な不安や悩みは変わっておらず、そして救いを求める気持ちも変わっていないと思います。これからはオンラインなど新しい技術を使って情報交換だけではなく、苦しんでいる方々を支えるため、儀式であれ、相談であれ、さまざまな形で取り組まなければならないと思います。開教区の皆様方との対話と交流を深め、自分を改めて見つめ直しながら、これからの教化に尽力していきたいと思っています。また私はこの度、父の門主就任により、神門として新たな道を歩ませていただくこととなりました。学びも経験も浅い私には不安ばかりですが、これからもひとえに門法精進の歩みを進めていくことが、神門としての務めを果たしていくことになると考えています。これからは門主を補佐し、人間が生きていく支えとなる浄土真宗、親鸞上人の教えを世界に広げ、同胞社会の実現に尽くしていきたいと思っています。皆様どうぞよろしくお願いします。
Thank you very much. It's nice to have had them prepare those wonderful Ho-onko messages for us. So special thanks to the former Abbot Chōken Ōtani, the current Abbot Chōyū Ōtani, and the overseas district Abbot Yu Ōtani for those wonderful messages. You know, as they sort of mentioned, you know, this pandemic has really caused a lot of changes, and it's really, to be frank, has posed many challenges and also some problems. But one of the, I don't know if you want to call it a benefit, it is the fact that it's forced us to, for example, stream services. It's forced us to use video messages. And I think those are things that we had been planning to do for a while, but this pandemic has kind of moved us a little bit forward with regards to getting all that together. So, you know, so that's, I guess, one of the benefits of this coronavirus, of the COVID-19. But anyways, special thanks to them for those wonderful messages. Now we will have the Rinban, who will introduce our guest speaker.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our Ho-onko service for this year. As you know, the Higashi Honganji in Los Angeles dates back to 1904, when the first temple, the Los Angeles Buddhist Mission, was built. And I imagine that Ho-onko being the most important service of our tradition, that Ho-onko was held back in 1904 and has been held every year since then, with ministers and members together observing Ho-onko. And so this may be the first time ever where we can't have members here, to observe with us. But fortunately, we have the technology to be able to share the service together with all of you who are able to log in to our service. Today we're very fortunate. Well, normally every year, as the Overseas District Abbot Chōyū Ōtani said, we would have the Overseas District Abbot here in Los Angeles for our Ho-onko service to represent the abbot of our tradition, who is the head minister of this temple as the Betsuin. And this year, he nor the abbot were able to come, but we received wonderful messages in both English and Japanese. And as you know, Abbot Chōyū Ōtani was installed on July 1st of this year, and his son Yu Ōtani became the Overseas District Abbot and also the Shinmon, the successor to the abbot. And both of them, as you know, while Yu Ōtani was born in Brazil, and his father moved to Brazil with his family when he was only 1. And so their first language is Portuguese. But as you can see, they speak wonderful English and also, of course, wonderful Japanese. And I think that they probably could speak Spanish as well. And so we're just really fortunate. I mean, we were fortunate to have our Abbot Chōken Ōtani serve our denomination for 24 years. And now we have Abbot Chōyū Ōtani as the leader of our denomination, and someone who has the ability to be able to speak not only in Japanese and to be able to relate to us in a very personal and deep way. And so on the one hand, it's very unfortunate that we're not able to have everyone here together and with our overseas abbot officiating the service. But at the same time, with the technology that we're able to utilize, we're able to share this experience together with our friends in Japan, as well as all of our members and friends here in Los Angeles. Today, we're very fortunate to have Reverend Nobuko Miyoshi, who is the resident minister of our West Covina Temple, to be our speaker for Ho-onko. And although we're not far away, it's always nice to be able to welcome Reverend Miyoshi back and to listen to her Dharma message. 皆さんおはようございます。今日はHo-onko法要になんていうんですかね、ご参加していただきっていうか、なんていうんですかね、インターネットで、皆様は私たちと一緒に、Ho-onkoをお務めすることができました。ご存知のように、このロサンゼルス別院は1904年に一番最初のラフ仏教会っていう名前のお寺ができて、それ以来、多分毎年、この11月の頃に、Ho-onkoのお務めを、僧侶と開教師と、それからメンバーと一緒にお務めすることができた。もう114年になりますかね、6年になるか。ということなんですけども、今年はパンデミックのために、こうやって、僧侶だけが集まって、お務めできるということですけども、今年は本当に開教司教の大谷優さんが、同志として来れなかったんですけども、今日は全門主の長見大谷と、それから門主の大谷長優と、それから新門開教司教の大谷優のメッセージを日英両語でいただくことができました。本当に開教司教が毎年来ていただいて、同志を務めて、皆さんと一緒にお務めができるっていう、そういうHo-onkoをお迎え したかったんですけども、こういうその、テクノロジーを利用して、皆様と一緒に本校をお務めすることができて、本当にありがたいことであります。今年のご講師は、皆さんのおなじみの三好信子開教師、ウェスコビナ駐在の開教師のお話を聞くことができまして、三好さんはこの別院の開教師も長年務めていただいて、今は本当にウェスコビナで頑張っていただいていることであります。毎週日曜日は同じ時間で法要を務めていますから、あまりお会いすること、またお話をすることができないので、今日の法音校のご法話を聴聞させていただくことが本当に嬉しいことであります。では、皆さんよろしくお願いします。
Well, good morning, everyone. And, it's my great honor to speak at a Betsin's Ho-onko this morning. Well, is that the word Ho-onko is a ko means literally is a gathering. So for me, it's a time for gathering with all the ministers this district and show express our appreciation and gratitude to our founder, Shinran Shonin. But not only that, it's like a precious time. It's precious time for gathering or like a happy reunion with Betsin's members. I always look forward to talking with them and laugh at each other, and then it's like that was like a precious time for me. So I never imagined it's like that kind of like I cannot do that, 1 year of the Ho-onko like today. So, well, I miss you. But, as the Bishop Ito mentioned, thanks to all the technology, we're still able to observe this moment, this most important service for Jōdo Shinshu followers. So I deeply express my appreciation and for all of you to get together virtually to observe this service today. And of course, I wish I'm able to see you in person sometime in the near future. So as you all know, is a Ho-onko is the memorial service for our founder Shinran Shonin. When you look at the word and the Ho-onko is a ko, as I said, is a gathering. But Ho-on, what does it mean? Well, Ho-on actually is kind of like a repay our indebtedness. So that's kind of things we realize that it's our action, our expression of our gratitude. In other words, if you feel like gratitude and appreciation, but keep it that kind of sense of appreciation in your mind is not good enough. So Ho-onko has to be some action, has to be expressed through our action. So when you look a little bit deeper, when we repay in our indebtedness, or like we feel like I want to repay our indebtedness, there's at least like 3 conditions that has to be fulfilled. First, we have to know we received something. And the second one is we should know the things we receive is very special or precious and rare to receive. Because we know something we received, and what we receive is so special. You realize that the appreciation, the sense of appreciation naturally comes out of your mind. And then if you're that kind of that feeling is overwhelming, you can't help but express it. Could be to simply say thank you is one of them. Jumping up and down or dancing is another way. But we know if you feel, filled with the deep appreciation and gratitude, that kind of sense of feeling is come out of our body. That is our action. That is a way for us to repay in our indebtedness. So for Shinran Shonin, he also is the one who expressed his gratitude through his own action. How? Well, it's writing his works is one way, because that helps us to encounter the teaching, what he encountered, even 800 years later. He also lived with the teaching in the midst of his everyday life. And also he kept listening to the teaching rest of his life. So we see this is the Ho-onko, so it's a time for us to repay in our indebtedness to Shinran Shonin. But at the same time, we realize that he is also the one who repaid his indebtedness to all people, all causes and conditions, enable him to encounter the teachings. So, what we have received from Shinran Shonin? Well, obviously, everyone say, well, it's a teaching. It is so true. But what kind of a teaching? As the teaching Shinran Shonin encountered is a teaching of equality. The teaching of no discrimination or excluding and embracing everyone, regardless of all difference. That is a teaching Shinran Shonin encountered. And he saw this teaching as the light of his life. Well, when we hear that kind of teaching of equality, I believe most of people think, oh yeah, that's a good teaching. It's nice to listen. Or many of us say, well, yeah, that makes sense to me, right? But he also said, this teaching is a light of his life. What does it mean? I think it means the teaching constantly illuminate him and his life, and it's like help him to reflect upon what he actually do as a Buddhist, or the Jodo Shinshu Buddhist. In a sense, when he see is a teaching, it's like a light of our life. Meaning the teaching always work for us as a mirror, showing us what we're doing and to guide us what we're supposed to do. When the teaching illuminates us, we come to realize, and we have to admit that we really not to rely on the teaching of equality. We have to admit that knowing that, understand it, and live with it is completely two different things. The teaching of equality makes sense to us. Everyone appreciates the teaching. But do we really live with the teaching with equality? do we really treat other people with respect? That is the question the teaching keeps constantly asking us in our life. Most of the time, there's a great gap between what we know and what we actually do. It's kind of hard for us to accept someone who has a different opinion. It's hard to be nice to those who we don't like, or those who don't like us. Sometimes it's difficult to accept or to be friendly to people who has a different belief, because we don't like them. In a sense, even though we say, as a Jodo Shinshu followers or the Buddhists, we take refuge in the teaching, we rely on the teaching of equality, we appreciate it, respect the teaching, yet, in our actuality, we rely more on our views and preference, and keep judging people based on our own judgment. We easily forget the teaching of equality. So to let us realize that reality is the working of the teaching as the light for us. So as the teaching actually illuminate Shinran Shonin and show the reality of himself, he expresses that experience in his hymn like this. Although I take refuge in the true Pure Land way, it is hard to have a true and a sincere mind. This self is false and insincere. I completely lack a pure mind. How this sounds like? Well, some people feel like, well, it sounds very pessimistic. It might be even that sounds like it's very desperate. However, I see this hymn is his confession or his statement that he surely experienced that he have encountered a teaching, and a teaching surely illuminate himself. Because without the light of the teaching, he never ever realized that he is false and insincere, even though he take refuge in the Pure Land way. The light showed him the great gap between what he relied on and what he actually does. So to realize that his own reality, which is far from the ideal, what the teaching talking about, is that means he for sure encountered the teaching. Therefore, I see this hymn, to me, as a statement, as express of his experience of the great, profound joy and gratitude to the teaching. So, in a sense, the teaching always reminds us that how far we are from the teaching we actually listen to. It's not like comfortable to accept that. Therefore, some people might wondering, okay, so then what's the point? Especially those who expect the religion is to make them a better person, they kind of like disappointed with the teaching, Jodo Shinshu teaching. Because when I listen to the teaching, I have to listen to the teaching to admit I'm shortcoming and imperfect person. What does it mean? What's the point for that? Some people might feel like that way. However, I think it's a deep realization that we are not perfect. We make mistakes. We have many shortcomings. That realization we need truly and truly, especially in this society, in this current world. Because the awareness of being an ordinary person who has a shortcoming and then who's imperfect, that awareness actually help us to connect with others. Dr. Mark Uno said, every single person who has ever lived has had some experience of failure. Everyone is limited beings. We are all foolish beings. Yet, the awareness that I'm a foolish being, filled with blind passion, is in fact the greatest wisdom for human beings. To come to mutual understanding as we are illuminated by a working of the boundless compassion is only made possible by awareness of our limitations as foolish beings. So, Jodo Shinshu let us know that its awareness of being ordinary person is a Bonbu in the Shinshu term. That actually is a key to enable us to connect each other beyond all the difference and the different conditions, beliefs, backgrounds, and so forth. Awareness of being an ordinary person help us to open our eyes to the world of interconnectedness, to the world of sharing. We all share the happiness, sorrow. Not only that, we share the same problems. Once we know that, we can hold hand each other as equal people. So, if I'm allowed to modify the essence of teaching of equality, which Shinran Shonin has encountered, to make it a little bit relevant to this current society, I can say the teaching he has encountered is there is no difference between male and female, white people, Asian people, African American people, young and old, Democrats and Republicans, me and you, us and them. They are all Bonbu, ordinary people. It sounds good, and it's easy to say that. It's not too difficult to understand and agree with it. However, it is extremely difficult to practice it. We know that. Because our society is contrary to the teachings. And it's not only one person out of like a certain group of people's fault. We all take responsibility. Because we who live in the society, they actually create that kind of society. So, at the West Covina Buddhist temple, we are currently planning this like a seminar for the next year of February. Because every year our temple has annual retreat in San Luis Obispo. It's a weekend retreat. However, unfortunately, it's like because of the corona pandemic, we have to cancel that. So in lieu of that, the retreat, we decided to have an online seminar. And a tentative theme that we pick is, what would Buddha do in a divided society? Because we are able to have Dr. Franz Metcalf as a speaker, who wrote one of the popular Buddhist book, What Would Buddha Do? So we see that we are living in a divided society right now. People are dividing based on a religion, religious belief, political belief, and as a background, status, gender, and so forth. We keep like drawing the border and the line between people and separate each other. And it's harder and harder to accept those who has a different idea and a belief. It's just harder to communicate each other, listen to each other. Instead, we keep criticizing them and create a conflict between us. That surely brings us more suffering. As Buddha says, we truly create our own suffering. So the theme we pick for our seminar in February is based on our concern. What should we do in a divided society? Is there any way to unite each other beyond all the difference? And I'm sure many of you feel like anxiety and concerned about this society. Well, many of us remember the World Double Gathering held in 2016 in Los Angeles. The theme was Double, seeking unity in the midst of diversity. Still, the theme is so important for us. At the time, many of us feel that when we hear that, listen to that, the theme, the seeking unity in the midst of diversity, sounds like a little bit more optimistic. We can see that kind of like that is kind of like a near future, which is close enough to touch. With a little effort, we feel like, well, yeah, we can accomplish some way. 4 years later, when you hear the same theme, seeking unity in the midst of diversity, how do you feel like? We cannot help but seeing the more difficulties and the challenges, rather than optimistic views. So we kind of realize that the path for unity, living in the world of equality, is not easy. But again, I don't say that that means we don't have hope. Rather, I think that realization is a great hope for all of us. Because it means that the theme, seeking unity in the midst of diversity, is no longer just like a fluffy and like a sounds good theme. If finally the theme become reality, it's come down in our life and activated and working in our life, and show us how far we are from it. Once we know that, we can start walking to the path. So, the walking on the path of unity and equality is not comfortable. The path is overwhelmingly long. It is the path of hardship. We may face more issues and challenges on the path, but those challenges and issues always eliminate us. And each time we receive the opportunity to return to the teaching and listen to it once again in our life. That process never ending. Therefore, the walking the path of unity and equality is a lifelong process for all of us. When we keep learning and growing, this ongoing process makes our lives truly alive. For us, striving our life is living with challenges and issues instead of ignoring them. Face it, work with them, and talk with them, and live with them. Those kind of a way of life. Then if we make our life like that, then we don't have to waste our life. And this is a way for us to repay in our indebtedness to Shinran Shonin, to show how we live our life with teaching, and constantly return to the teaching. Keep listening, keep walking, learning, and growing. That is our expression of gratitude, to appreciation to Shinran Shonin, because he is also the one who listened to the teaching, lived with the teaching, constantly returned to the teaching in his everyday life. In a sense, we walk the path, the same path as Shinran Shonin walked. That is a way for us to repay indebtedness to Shinran Shonin. And it's a meaning to remember that and make me remind that is that why we have a Ho-onko every year with all people. So again, thank you very much for having me as a speaker this year's Ho-onko, and this concludes my talk. Thank you. 日本語で少しお話しさせていただきたいと思います。今年のHo-onkoはいつもと違った形になりまして、毎年ですね、別院にお参りするたびに、別院の皆さんとお会いしてですね、冗談を言い合ったり、おしゃべりしたりということを楽しみにしていたんですけれども、今年は残念ながらそれが叶わなくなりました。ただ、伊藤監督がおっしゃっておりましたように、新しいテクノロジーのおかげをもちまして、こうやって、ストリームのライブで皆さんに、Ho-onkoの様子を、映すことができて、そして皆さんと共に、オンラインではありますけれども、共に、参集することができましたこと、非常にありがたく思っております。皆様と長いことですね、お会いできないということは非常に寂しくはあるんですけれども、 近いうちにまたこの別院でお会いできることを楽しみにしております。Ho-onkoはですね、Ho-onという言葉を考えましたときには、奉謝、つまりいただいたものをありがたくいただき、そして返していくという、意味がございます。特にこの報いるということはですね、返していくという具体的な行為になります。言い換えますならば、大切なものをいただいてですね、ありがとうと心の中で思っているだけでは十分ではなく、その感謝の気持ちが、態度として、行為として現れていく。そのようなことをHo-onという言葉で表しております。このHo-onkoという言葉をいただく私たちはですね、今一度このHo-onkoをお務めするというご縁をいただいたときに、改めて何をいただいて、そしてどう返していくのかということをですね、考えることが必要なんではないかなと思っております。具体的に言いますと、私たちは親鸞上人から何をいただいたのか、そして、どうすることが親鸞上人にそのご恩を返していくということになるのかということを考えていきたいと思います。言うまでもなく、私たちは上人が出会った教えに、ご上人の生涯を通して出会わせていただいております。では、親鸞上人が出会った教えとはどのような教えだったのでしょうか。私は、先ほどのご問師もおっしゃいましたように、平等の教えであるとうなずいております。人々があらゆる違いを超えて、そして共に生きることのできる、その世界を開いてくださる、そのような教えに親鸞上人は出会い、感動し、そしてその教えを自らの光として一生歩まれた方ではなかったでしょうか。この平等の教えという教えを聞くとですね、多くの人がですね、それは素晴らしい教えだな、というふうに思われると思います。しかし同時に、親鸞上人は、この教えは、私たちを照らす教えだと教えてくださっています。これは一体どういうことでしょうか。それは、その教えが私たちの実際の生活の中で働くとき、それが鏡のように働く、すなわち、その教えに沿っていない私たちのあり方を明らかにする。そのような働きを光として働く教えと親鸞上人はいただかれたのではないでしょうか。教えが光となって親鸞上人の現実を映し出したときに、そこに浮かび上がり、そして否定のできないその姿というのは、どれほど深く教えにうなずいていても、実際はその教えではなく、自らの好き嫌いや自らの判断によって人を嫌い、選んでいる教え、自分の姿ではなかったでしょうか。その気づきを親鸞上人はご和参において、浄土真宗に帰すれども、真実の心はありがたし、故家不実の我が身にて、清浄の真もさらになしと歌われておられます。このご和参を一見しますとですね、非常に深い嘆きの告白に聞こえます。けれども、これは実はその仏法の働きに出会ったのだという、その確かな実感を表現している歌ではないでしょうか。それは深い喜びの告白と言えるのではないでしょうか。仏法の働きに出会っているからこそ、浄土真宗に出会った好みが、実は故家不実のみであったということに気づくことができます。親鸞上人が出会った教えは、私たちがどれほど素晴らしい教えに感動し、納得し、受け入れていても、自身の生活においては、それに大きく背いた生き方をしているということを教える教えではなかったでしょうか。言い換えますなら、いかに自分が理想から、教えから、ほど遠い存在であるかを教える教えであります。このように申しますと、宗教により良い人間になる道を期待する人にとっては、自分の至らなさに気づくのが 仏法に出会う意味であるとすれば、何のために出会うのかと思われるかもしれません。けれども、自らが決して完璧でないこと、もっと言うなら、決して絶対的に正しい立場の人間ではない。つまり、凡夫の身に目覚めるということは、今を生きる私たちにとっては、とても大切なことなのではないかと、このように感じております。なぜならば、この凡夫の自覚こそが、私と他の多くの違いを持った人たちとをつなげてくれるからであります。マーク・ウンノ先生は、どんな人間でも失敗することがあります。どんな人間でも限られた存在であり、凡夫なのですから。しかし、煩悩具足の凡夫であるという自覚は、人間最大の知恵なのですとおっしゃっておられます。凡夫の自覚によって、私たちが本当に縁起の存在であるということを実感させられる。そして、私と先ほど申しましたように、多くの違いを持った人たちが、その違いを超えてつながることのできる道、それを開いてくださるのが、この凡夫の自覚であり、この凡夫の自覚がもたらされるのは、教えが私たちの身の中で、生活の中で、まさに働いている時ではないでしょうか。ウエストコビナのお寺では、現在来年2月に開催されるセミナーの計画をしております。テーマはですね、今のところ、仮のテーマではありますけれども、分断社会の中でこそ生きる教えというふうに選ばせていただきました。現代、私たちが生きる現代におきましては、人々は宗教や政治的信条、その他あらゆる立場の違いによって分断され、それぞれが信じる現実を生きています。そして、異なる現実に生きる人を攻撃し、さらに分断を生み出しています。お釈迦様がおっしゃっておられるように、まさしく自らが自らの苦しみを生み出している姿そのものです。私たちのそうした現実の抱える多くの問題や課題を憂慮し、だからこそ今教えに学んでいきたいという願いから導き出されたテーマであります。また、2016年世界同胞大会において私たちが掲げたテーマ、皆さん覚えていらっしゃいますでしょうか？それは、同胞、多様な世界の中でというテーマでありました。2016年世界同胞大会でこのテーマを聞いたとき、私たちの多くは、それは手を伸ばせば届きそうな希望に聞こえた人が多かったのではないでしょうか。4年経った今はどうでしょう。同じこのテーマを聞いて、皆さんはどのように感じられるでしょうか。おそらく、この希望に聞こえた言葉は、私たちにとっては、本当に大切な生き方であればあると思う人ほど、その道のりの険しさを感じているのではないでしょうか。共に生きる多様な世界の中で、共に敬い生きていくという道は簡単な道のりではありません。そのことを私たちは自らの生活の中で実感しています。けれどもこれは絶望ではないと思います。むしろ異なる人と共に生きるというこの願いが単に耳障りのいい言葉ではなく現実の課題となったということではないでしょうか。共に生きる道を探るこの歩みは決して平坦ではありませんし、楽しいものでもないかもしれません。また、道のりは果てしなく遠く、私たちの人生が終わるまでに到達できるものでもないかもしれません。歩めば歩むほど、さらに多くの問題にぶち当たり、苦悩するかもしれません。けれどもその中で私たちはもう一度 自らの身に帰り、そして自らの現実を見たときに、また再び教えに聞き直していくという歩みが続いていくんではないでしょうか。私たちは決して完璧な人間ではありません。失敗もし、間違いも犯します。けれども、その失敗や間違いが絶望ではなく、そこから多くのことを学ぶ機会になります。苦しみや悲しみ、失敗が私たちを歩ませ、学ばせ、そして成長させるご縁になっていく。その大きな働きを教えてくださっているのが、浄土真宗の教えではないでしょうか。だからこそ私たちが自らの生活の中で教えに照らされた我が身に帰り続け、そして改めて仏法に聞き直していく。その歩みを続けていくことこそが、同じように教えに出会い、自らを見つめ、そしてそのご生涯を通して教えに聞き直していった親鸞上人のご恩に報いるという生き方になるのではないかと、このように思っております。そういった意味では、親鸞上人が歩まれた同じ道を、私たちも親鸞上人と共に歩んでいく。そのことが私たちに託された生き方であり、報恩というご恩を返していくというあり方になっていくのではないかと、このように感じております。改めまして本日は、別院のほんこ法要にご参集いただきましてありがとうございます。これをもちまして私の話とさせていただきます。ありがとうございました。
Thank you, Reverend Miyoshi. It's always nice to have the opportunity to listen to her because, as the Rinpoche mentioned, she's only in West Covina. It's not too far, but we don't have the opportunity to listen to her speak. So thank you again for your wonderful Ho-onko message. Few announcements. Let's see. Next Saturday, for those of you who want a little exercise, there's going to be Bon Adori Aerobics. I believe it's at 3 o'clock, but there's more information if you sort of scroll down the Facebook page about that. And then next Sunday, I believe Reverend Peter will be streaming the service again. So please join us for our Sunday services. The last Sunday of November, we'll have our Coffee and Dharma discussion again. So if you want information about that, you can contact the temple or visit our Facebook page for more information about that. With regards to the end of the year, just sort of stay tuned. I mean, as you know, we're probably going to continue streaming services, but some of the special services that occur at the end of the year and the new year, we'll keep you posted on that. Let's see. Any other announcements, anybody?
Well, we're not going to have temple cleanup, and so everyone should clean up their homes.
Okay. So the Rinpoche said we are not going to have a temple cleanup this year, so everybody should stay home and clean their homes, or you can help me clean. So please do that. Also, I think it's kind of, as all of you know, the expenses or the expenses continue, and so anything you can do to support the temple, we greatly appreciate. I know it's challenging for all of us, but anything you can do to continue to support the temple is greatly appreciated. So now we'll move on to the singing of Ondok-san 1, and I believe most of you have the lyric or have the lyrics with you. So this is Ondok-san 1. So thank you. And again, a special thank you to the former Abbot Chōken Ōtani, current Abbot Chōyū Ōtani, and the Overseas District Abbot Yu Ōtani for their wonderful Ho-onko messages. A special thank you again to Reverend Miyoshi for her wonderful Dharma talk today. Thank you to all the ministers for participating under these challenging circumstances. A special thank you to Jason Wong for his help every week to stream, or every time we have services here with regards to the streaming. And most importantly, thanks to all of you. I know it's a difficult time, and we appreciate everybody joining us virtually. Please continue to stay safe. As you know, the pandemic the virus is sort of spiking again. And so we have to do everything we can, wearing masks, staying socially distanced, to make sure that we can all stay safe. And we hope that all of you will be able to come back and join us here at the temple again in the not too distant future. So thank you again for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. We hope to see you again soon. And again, please stay safe. Thank you.